guys? It's October the 11th, 2024, and I hope everybody had a great week this week and a wonderful day today. In today's video, I want to talk about something that Imnotriol, I think is how you pronounce that handle. But Imnotriol was talking yesterday in the comments, and this is one of the reasons that I try my best to read each and every single one of your comments and reply to each and every single one of you, because I get a lot of really good ideas by speaking to you guys in the comment section. And not only good ideas, but, you know, I get to hear other perspectives, other angles, other ways of thinking. I only have one way of thinking, and that's just the way that I think. And when someone else comes in and maybe has a different thought about something I was talking about, or, you know, like I said, a different perspective, different angle, a different way of thinking about something that I was talking about in one of the videos, I don't mind constructive criticism at all. Especially, I don't mind when, you know, when people are talking back and forth with me about something that I'm speaking about, because there might be something that I didn't personally think about in the video. And it's good to hear from other people and hear their perspective on it, because, like I said, it might be something that an experience that I had, and I had, you know, an idea about something, and then someone else jumps in and tells me their thoughts on it, and I might go, oh, okay, I never thought about it like that, and I'll change my opinion. I change opinions all the time. I am not stuck in one way of thinking at all about anything. I change how I think about stuff almost every single day, especially when someone brings to my attention, like I said, something that I didn't think about. And I don't really have anything off the top of my head that I could use as an example right this moment, but there have been many times that I've been talking about something on the channel, and then somebody goes, well, did you think about it from this aspect of it? And then I go, no, I actually really didn't think about it that way. And then I'll change how I think about that from that point forward, because, you know, it might be something, you know, from a perspective of someone that's a family member of a drinker or a spouse of a drinker, and I never thought about it in that aspect. But, you know, once again, that's why I try to read and reply to each and every single one of your comments, and I appreciate each and every single one of you commenting on the videos. I really do appreciate it. Not only do, you know, I love communicating with you guys, and if I don't get to you, it's just because I've just run out of time, and I spend all of my free time basically trying to reply to you guys, making the videos. You know, I spend so much time doing this, and if I haven't gotten you, it's just I just ran out of time on that video. Most of the time, once I get to the point where I have no more time left and the next video's up, then I'll just start replying to the comments on that one. So if I didn't get to you, it's not on purpose. I just didn't have any more time to get to that video at that point. But like I said, Imnotriol was talking about how, you know, she was really happy that she was able to get sober while her father was still alive, and show her that she changed. And she was talking about how alcohol doesn't just affect the drinker, and how it affects our friends and our family and other people around us. And I told her, I said, you know, that's a really great idea. It's a great idea for a video, because I haven't talked about this in quite some time. And I really don't, I think I might have made one video in the past about how alcohol affects other people other than just us. But it does. And by the way, thank you so much, Imnotriol, for your video idea. And if you guys have any video ideas, please add them in the comment section. I love taking ideas from you guys. You know, there are days where I'm stumped, and it might take me all day long to come up with an idea for a video. And I want to produce videos every single day. So if there's something that you'd like me to talk about, I take ideas from you guys all the time. I get people suggesting video ideas to me in the comments, and I'll say, I'll do that one tomorrow. Or if there's something that you'd like me to talk about, something that might help you. I've had tons of people who have told me they're struggling, struggling quitting, or struggling staying sober, or whatever it may be, and I'll do a video just for them the next day. So once again, if you're new to this channel, and there's something that you'd like me to talk about, there's a video idea that you might have, throw it in the comment section. You're not going to offend me one bit. As a matter of fact, it makes me happy when you guys give me ideas. So please let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about, something that you might want to see. But back to what I was talking about with immaterial and, how alcohol affects other people around us. It absolutely does. When we're in active addiction, it's not just affecting us. It affects our friends. It affects our family. It affects our coworkers. It affects our whole community in so many different ways. And I could probably sit here and talk about how addiction affects other people around us probably for hours, because there's so many reasons why addiction affects other people. But I'm just going to try to keep it around 25 minutes or so today and just kind of give some examples of how our addiction can affect other people other than ourselves today. And I'm just going to use myself for an example for one and talk about something that, one of the things or one of the ways that my addiction has affected other people. And it's something that still haunts me to this day. It's something I think about very often. I probably think about it every day, to be quite honest with you. And when Imnatriel was talking about that in the comment section, this is the first thing that popped in my mind when I was thinking about it. When I was in the hospital, not the second time, but I was actually in the hospital after I'd had my TIPS procedure in January of 2023. So January of last year. I had just had my first TIPS procedure, which was a failure. They couldn't get through the blood clots to place the stents in there. And, the doctor came in and basically said, the TIPS isn't going to work. We can't get it through. So with us not being able to accomplish that, your time is very limited now. Which I already knew my time was limited at that point, but he was basically like, there's nothing else we can do for you. This was a failure. So you're just buying your time now. And that's when he told me, you've grown all these capillaries that have grown around that portal vein. He said, and that's what's allowing the blood to flow through right now. He said, but when those capillaries get blocked, it's pretty much going to be a done deal. And there's just nothing else we can do for you at that point. And, I sat in the hospital. I was pretty depressed during that period of time. And I was very ill. I was very, very sick after that procedure. They had cut the blood supply off to my spleen. My spleen was dying inside of me. And I had just had a TIPS procedure, and I had all these incisions all over. I think I had like 6 different places they had gone in. I was really, really, really sore all over. I just didn't feel good after that surgery, and I didn't look good during that period of time too. I had ascites really bad. I had just gotten out of the hospital a couple months before where I'd almost lost my life. That was the time I got on septic and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I just looked bad. I was very sick. And my kids, I was in Charleston, South Carolina at MUSC. And my children came to visit with me. And I hope I can get through this without crying. Because it's something that, something that really does, it really does affect me. I think about it quite a lot. But both of my boys had come. Actually, my whole family came. It was my wife and my 3 children. And my mother-in-law came with them as well. And both of my boys got up onto the hospital bed with me. And they just laid there with me. They had just got there to the hospital that day. I had gone down with my mother, and my wife and my kids stayed home. They still had school and work that they had to go do, and they came down that weekend. I think I had my surgery like on a Wednesday or Thursday, and my wife and my kids showed up that Saturday to come see me, or it might have been that Friday night. I don't remember, but it was not too much longer after I'd had the surgery. And like I said, both of my kids, they crawled up onto the bed and laid beside me. My oldest son was on my left, and my youngest son was on my right. And they just got up on the bed and they hugged me, and they just held on to me for a really long time. And I'll just never forget that look in their eye when they first came in the room. I could tell how scared they were, because I looked so bad. And my point is that I'll never forget that look in their eyes. I'll never forget it. And also another time that I'll never forget too is when I was hospitalized the first time with pancreatitis and all my organs were starting to shut down. I had just bought my tractor, I think about a year before I'd gotten sick. And when I bought my tractor, I bought it brand new. And when I bought it, it's a Yanmar tractor. They're made in Korea. And when I bought the tractor, they gave me a free baseball cap. Go figure. I spent a lot of money on that tractor, and I got a free hat. And it actually looked a lot like this. It was camouflage, and it said Yanmar across the front. I'd given my son, my youngest son, that Yanmar baseball cap right before I got sick. They had like a hat day at their school, and I gave him the hat for that. Well, when I was in the hospital, my wife had to take my youngest son. It was the end of the school year for them, and they had like an outdoor day, and parents and stuff like that could show up for it. And my son wore that baseball cap to school that day. Well, he lost it. And my wife said that he was in a panic looking for it. She said that he started bawling, crying, looking all over because he couldn't find the hat that I'd given him, and he was really upset about it. And my wife was like, you calm down, we're going to find it, And she told me all this after the fact. But I'll never forget it because of what my son told her. She said that he was like panicking and bawling, crying, and she's like, just calm down, we're going to find the hat. And I was in the hospital at this time, and my youngest son told my wife, he said, Mom, I cannot lose that hat. Dad gave it to me, and what if he dies? And I'll just never forget that. And that's my point to today's video, is that I caused my children to have to deal with that trauma because I chose to drink the way that I did. I'm sure that my kids will never forget what they went through. As much as I might have been a drunk and not a good father to them for as long as I was, I'm still their dad. And, think back to when you were a kid. Our parents are people too, and they make mistakes just like anybody else does, but they're still our parents. And especially when we're young, our parents are like our superheroes. We really look up to them when we're young. And, my kids are never going to forget that feeling that they had and how scared that they were. And I know, when I was young, my mom got cancer, and she had to have a bunch of surgeries and stuff like that, and she was very sick. And I remember how afraid I was when I was a kid because my mom was sick. I'll never forget that. I still remember it to this day. And I remember how afraid that I was every single day. And I put my children through that. And if I had gotten sick just because, and it was something that was out of my control, then, there's nothing I could have done. But I did I caused my illness and put my children through that. And it's just something I'll never forget. How afraid my son was that he had lost my baseball cap. Seeing the look in the eyes of my children when they walked into the hospital room and, they crawled up on that bed and laid there and hugged me. And, I'll just never forget how tight they hugged me, and they just held me for a very long time. And that's not like my kids. They're not really affectionate children, not towards me at least. They are with my wife, but, for them to come up and hug me and not let go and hold on to me for, probably like 5 minutes, that meant a lot. And like I said, I'll never forget it. But that's my personal experience, just some of the things that I've gone through. And not to mention, all the things I've put my wife through over the years. I've changed her in ways that I'll never be able to get back. Because I was just not a good person for so long. And I'm sure I traumatized her in ways because of how drunk I would be. She didn't know when I would come home. There were days where I didn't come home at all. I would stay out all night long and not answer my phone. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just drinking. Well, that was wrong, but I wasn't out like cheating on her or anything like that. I just didn't answer my phone because one, I probably was passed out, or I didn't want her to yell at me. I knew if I answered the phone, she was going to start screaming at me and tell me to get back home, and I couldn't drive, and I was in the middle of drinking and having a good time, and I didn't want to stop, so I just wouldn't answer. I'd show up the next day, show up the next morning, and wonder why she was upset with me. I mean, I knew why, but, I had become so good at manipulating people and lying to people. And when I couldn't get her back, when I couldn't reel her back in, and, when I'm sorry finally runs out and all of your excuses finally run out, and you can see the look on their eye, where they're done. They're tired of your excuses. They're tired of your lies. It's pretty easy to pick up on that. And I could tell towards the end of my drinking that my wife was over it. I honestly think that she was just about ready to go. She was about ready to leave me at that point. And I'm really surprised that she didn't. But the thing is that, we affect so many other people with our addiction. I've put my mom through hell. She's had to come see me in the hospital many times when I've been sick. She's had to take me back and forth to the hospital. Same thing with my dad, my brother. I've put him through so much. Not to mention how many times I've called him up, and started arguing with him or whatever when I was intoxicated, or he had to babysit me, because there was a lot of times I would, be hanging out with my brother, and he basically had to babysit me because I would act such a fool when I drank. I just put my whole entire family through hell. And that's the point, is that it's not just us that's being affected by our addiction. We're affecting everybody else around us. Our spouses, we affect them majorly. Our children get affected majorly. Do you have any idea how many people are on this channel that don't have AUD or don't have addiction problems and are here because they're trying to get an understanding of why their parents drank the way that they did, or a sibling drank the way that they did, or a spouse drank the way that they did? There are so many people here on this channel that do not have a problem with addiction at all. They're here because they're trying to get an understanding of why we are the way that we are. They're trying to get an understanding of why their parents drank the way that they did, or their spouse did. Because, like I said, there's a lot of trauma that's involved in this. And they still don't have an understanding. They don't know why. There's a lot of people that, their parents, their mom or their dad was an alcoholic, and they have this feeling, I think, to where, why couldn't they love me enough to quit? And, it's not about the fact that they don't love you. I can honestly say, from a person that has AUD, it's not that they don't love you, because they do. It's just that they don't know how to quit, and they've tried. I can guarantee you that anybody here on this channel that's watching that has a parent or a spouse or a brother or sister, anybody in your life that has AUD or whatever the addiction is, they want to stop. They just don't know how. And I can guarantee you they've tried before, and they just couldn't do it, because it's hard to quit. The feeling of the uncomfortable feeling that you get when you're trying to stop, it's almost unbearable. And if you don't have any help, any support, and you just don't know what you're doing, it's almost impossible to stop. And especially, if you had a parent, and this was 30, 40 years ago, we've learned a lot more about addiction over the past few years. They've come a long way in addiction treatment. And, they probably just didn't know how to, and they probably didn't have enough support to stop. And like I said, it's not like they didn't want to. I can guarantee you that. It's just, they just couldn't. And it has nothing to do with they didn't love you enough, because they do. I can promise you that they do love you, and they did love you or whatever. It has nothing to do with you at all. It's a personal demon that they're trying to fight. And sometimes we lose that battle. Sometimes it's too late. They want to stop, and, their addiction's taking them so far, and then they end up losing their life or something, and there's just nothing that they could do. But I can honestly say that it has nothing to do with you, especially if it was a loved one of yours that had an addiction problem, and you've got that question in your mind, like, why couldn't they love me enough to stop? They did love you, and they wanted to. It's just they didn't know how. But once again, there's tons of people here on this channel who had a spouse, loved one, whatever, and they're trying to figure out why that person drank the way that they did. And not only does it affect our children, like I said, it affects our spouses in major, major ways, especially, that spouse of the alcoholic or person with AUD or spouse of a person with addiction. They've tried everything in the book. They tried yelling at you. That didn't work. They tried being angry. That didn't work. They tried bargaining with you. That doesn't work. They tried everything. They tried cutting deals and, only drinking on Fridays and Saturdays, or only drinking a 6-pack of beer, or whatever it is. And, it never works out, and it keeps failing. And that spouse keeps wondering himself, why can't they stop for me? Don't they love me enough to stop? And once again, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that person's so deep in their addiction, they just don't know how to. I can promise you that they want to. So, our children, our spouses, our boyfriends, our girlfriends, same thing. Our parents, my children, right now, my daughter's almost 21 years old, and then I've got a 14 and a 10-year-old boys. I haven't seen anything with them yet as far as addiction, but I can't imagine what that would be like, to have a child that's suffering with AUD or an addiction problem, and watching them go down that path and not knowing what to do. And you've tried every single thing. You've tried punishing them, and that doesn't stop it. Or, they might be old enough to, they're out on their own, and you're watching your child suffer with AUD, and you've tried everything. You've tried talking to them, and that doesn't help. I can't imagine how tough that might be to watch your child deal with that. And you don't know what to do. Your hands are up in the air, and you're like, what do I do for them? You've tried putting them into a rehab facility, and that didn't work out. You tried getting them into counseling, and that didn't work out. You tried talking to them. You tried yelling at them. You tried punishing them. You tried everything, and it just doesn't work out. You're at the point where you're ready to pull your hair out because you just want them to stop. And I can't imagine what it's like. But you're at the point where you would almost give your life to be able to see them get their life back. So the parents of the people that are suffering with this, it's got to be horrible. Because deep down inside where this leads. There's only 3 places. It's either death, the hospital, or jail. That's basically it. And that's going to end up happening, and there's nothing you can do. Your hands are tied, and you've tried everything in the book, and you're watching them. You're watching them go down this path, and what's going to end up happening. the grandparents of somebody that has an addiction problem, they're affected. You know, they love you to death, and they don't know what to do to help. And then they're watching, not only are they watching their grandchild suffer with this, but they're also watching their child deal with their own child. So they've got two generations, you know, of their own child and their grandchild that they're watching go through this, and they don't know what to do. Our communities have to pay the price. You know, not only, you know, just our whole community, you know, because there are so many reasons why, but, you know, you end up going to the hospital because you're sick and you can't pay the bill, and, you know, then everybody else in the community's got to pay the difference because their hospital bill goes up because you couldn't pay, or, you know, you're ending up going to the hospital every couple of weeks, and you're calling 911, and the ambulance is coming to pick you up, and the ambulance could be picking somebody else up who's got their own problems that they didn't, you know, that they didn't cause. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault by any means, so please don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. You know, nobody asked to have an addiction problem. It's not like anybody woke up one day and went, you know what, I want to have AUD. I want to have an addiction problem because that's just how I want my life to be. Absolutely nobody chooses to do that. Alcohol is such a tricky substance. It's such a sneaky substance because in the beginning we start drinking and it makes us feel great. All of a sudden we can start talking to people. All of a sudden we can come out of our shell. All of a sudden we can become the person that we thought that we could never be. All of a sudden we feel comfortable in a room of people. All of a sudden we feel comfortable in our own skin again. All of a sudden, all those problems that we have, all those things that haunt us every day, all those, you know, those insecurities and all those types of things, all of a sudden those things just start to just melt away. All of a sudden we feel great. All of a sudden we're not depressed again. All of a sudden we just feel like ourselves. You know, and like I said, you know, it does all these things for us and makes us feel good, you know, and we feel great on top of it. Not only are we euphoric, but we feel, you know, we can actually talk to other people and feel comfortable while we're doing it. You can walk into a bar, you can talk to girls or talk to boys or whatever, and you're not afraid to do it. And it helps with so many things in the beginning. And when you're younger, when you first start drinking, you don't wake up with a hangover the next day that's so bad. You might have a little slight headache. You might feel a little woozy or something. But, you know, you wake up, drink a Gatorade or two, have some breakfast, and the hangover's gone. And, you know, and you're not drinking as frequently. You know, it might be something that you do on Friday and Saturday, or Friday you know, it might be something you do every couple of weeks or once a month or something in the beginning. And, you know, it's not affecting you that much. It's not affecting you financially. You're not bothering anybody. Your family's not worried about you. But as time goes on, our progression into our frequency begins to increase. And we really like that feeling. We really like how easily it is for us to be able to talk to people or whatever it may be. And as that happens, gradually, more and more, we start drinking more and more, but those hangovers start to get worse. And then we get into that place where hair of the dog. I've talked about this over and over, but, you know, we get to that point where the hangovers get so bad, and then we discover hair of the dog. And man, hair of the dog is a miracle cure. You know, you wake up that morning, you feel like a trash can, you drink 2 beers, and you're right back to feeling great again. And, well, when you drink hair of the dog and it works so well, why not do it every single day? And before you know it, you're drinking from the time you wake up in the morning till the time you go to sleep at night, and you're doing it every single day. And then that's when the real problems start to develop. And that's when people start to get worried about us. You know, you're showing up for that Christmas party at your family's house every year, completely intoxicated, and you're drunk before you even get there. You know, and people start to worry about us. You know, and like I said, our whole community can be affected because people start to worry about you. You know, not only that, but, you know, let's say that, you know, you're you have AUD and, you're hanging around with, Jane's kid over here. And now Jane's worried about their kid hanging around with you. And now they're worried because they know how much you're drinking and they're afraid that you're going to get their child to start doing the same thing. There are just so many reasons that AUD and addiction affects everyone else around us. And when we're in active addiction, we don't see it. Either we don't see it or we turn a blind eye to it. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to know. Because then that might make us actually reflect on how much we're consuming. And, the point of today's video is that when we're in active addiction, with whatever the substance is, whether it be alcohol or drugs or whatever, we don't see how we're affecting everyone around us. But as soon as we get sober, we start to pick up on how many people we were affecting, because we do. It affects every single person around us, and especially our loved ones, people who care about us. The parents of that person stay up all night long thinking about it, worried about you. Our spouses, they get to the point where they throw their hands up in the air. They don't know what to do anymore, because they start to blame themselves. They start to think, what did I do wrong? We don't think about that in active addiction, but think about it from that other person's head. What they're thinking. They're blaming themselves. They're thinking, well, what did I do wrong? Did I not spend enough time with them? Is that why they're drinking the way they are? Or, did I not listen to them enough when they were talking to me? Or did we not go on enough vacations? Or was it because I left the trash in the trash can? Or was it because I didn't do the dishes? Or is it because I didn't cook dinner? The list goes on. There's no telling what might be going through their head, but they're blaming themselves a lot of the time. And they're thinking, what did I do wrong that caused them to drink this way? And it does. I know for a fact. I know for a fact from my family. My wife told me one day that my daughter asked her, this is something I've never talked about, but I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it really quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and get off of here for today. My daughter asked my wife, and this is how I know that people think this way, because my daughter asked my wife one day, why doesn't Dad love me enough to stop drinking? My wife didn't tell me that until I got sober. And as a matter of fact, my wife didn't tell me that until like a few months ago, that my daughter said that one day. And that's stuck with me ever since she told me that. And my daughter was thinking the whole time that I didn't love her enough to stop. That's not the case at all, because I do. It's just, I didn't know how. So the next time that you think about that drink, and the next time that you go to pick up that drink, or whatever the substance is, think about what I just said. My own daughter thought that I didn't love her enough to stop drinking. Who in your life is thinking the same thing? It doesn't just affect us. It affects everybody else around us too. And with that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get off here for today. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your Friday afternoon. Bye-bye.